Welcome to Beit Yisrael International's Voice of Torah podcast, where the eternal wisdom of the Torah meets the heartbeat of today's world. I am Gaddi Efrayim, and today we journey into Parashat Shemini, a portion ablaze with divine realm, and it's about supernatural world. Parshat Shemini means the 8th day, where time ends and holiness begins. After 7 days of preparation, the Mishkan becomes fully operational, and Aaron's calf offering, an atonement for the sin of the golden calf, reveals the principle of midah keneged midah, measure for measure, as explained by Rashi. But what makes this day extraordinary is its number, 8. While 7 symbolizes nature and completion, 8 transcends it, signaling the miraculous, the eternal, the realm of Mashiach. The sages teach that the day of the Mishkan's dedication was as joyous before Hashem as the day of creation itself. On this 8th day, the Shechinah visibly dwells among Israel, revealing a glimpse of future redemption, a world no longer bound by time or concealment, but lit with the infinite radiance of Or Ein Sof. This is the voice of Torah. Stay inspired and let the Torah guide your way. Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really zeroing in on something quite specific, a fascinating idea.
Yes, we're looking at the number 8.
Exactly, the number 8. We're pulling insights from this text, Shmini, a quotes a mystery of the 8th in Torah and time, and also using notes from Gaddi Efrayim and Beit Yisrael International.
And what's great is the variety of perspectives, right? From Torah readings, Midrash, Talmud, all the way to Kabbalah.
It covers a lot of ground. So our goal here is to unpack why this number 8 is seen as so much more than, well, just the number after 7.
It hints at some really profound spiritual concepts. It's not just sequential.
Okay, so let's jump right in then. A core idea seems to be this contrast between 7 and 8.
Definitely. The sources really emphasize how 7 represents the created world. You know, the cycles we see everywhere.
Like the 7 days of creation?
Exactly. That and the 7 colors of the rainbow. 7 musical notes. Even in Kabbalah, the 7 lower sephirot, the sort of divine attributes manifesting in the world.
It's all about pattern, completion within nature, within a defined system.
Right, completeness within the natural order. But then you get to 8, Shemini.
And that's presented very differently.
Completely. It's framed as almost like a portal, a way beyond that natural cycle.
A portal. Interesting. So moving from the finite to the infinite.
That's the idea. Transcending nature, breaking the pattern, moving towards the eternal. It's a major shift.
It really is. And that ties into creation and the world to come, doesn't it?
It does. There's a Midrash, Vayikra Rabbah, that draws this amazing parallel.
Between the Mishkan inauguration and creation itself.
Yes. The 7 days of inaugurating the Mishkan, the tabernacle, mirror the 7 days of creation.
Okay.
And then the 8th day, that culmination, is seen as reflecting Olam Haba.
The world to come. Wow.
Yeah, so that 8th day isn't just historical. It's a window into the ultimate future reality.
And the Talmud takes that even further.
Right, in Megillah, it says the dedication on that 8th day was, in God's eyes, as joyous as the creation of heaven and earth.
As joyous as creation. That's incredible weight.
It is. It suggests the divine presence filled the Mishkan then, just like it filled the universe at the beginning. The text uses this beautiful phrase,
Heaven kisses earth.
That's the one. The 8th day becomes this vessel for transcendence, holding something beyond the ordinary. It's a symbol of that higher reality breaking in.
Okay, so let's shift gears slightly from the cosmic scale to something very personal. Brit Milah.
Circumcision, also on the 8th day.
Right. And the timing isn't random according to the Midrash Tanchuma.
No, not at all. The idea presented is that the baby first lives through a full cycle of nature, 7 days.
Completes that natural week.
Exactly. And then on the 8th day, enters into this covenant, this Brit, which exists beyond the purely natural world.
So it's a step into something supernatural, in a sense.
In a sense, yes. It transcends the physical, and the Zohar adds another layer.
The mystical text.
It teaches that on the 8th day, the child's neshama, their soul, fully connects or binds to holiness, to the light.
So it's not just physical, it's deeply spiritual, an eternal bond.
Precisely. A bond that, as the text says, kind of defies simple logic. It connects the soul to the infinite. The 8th day marks that entry point.
And this theme, the divine presence appearing on the 8th day. We see that explicitly in the Torah portion, Parashat Shemini.
Do. After 7 days of preparations, a real buildup.
Right.
The Torah says on day 8, the glory of Hashem appeared to everyone. A major revelation.
A climax, really. Why then did the commentators explain the significance?
Well, Rasucci suggests Aaron's offering on that day was about atonement, maybe rectifying things after the golden calf incident.
Ah, okay. Clearing the slate.
Perhaps. And Ramban adds that the divine presence, the Shechinah, could only fully descend and dwell once everything was totally complete and sanctified.
And that point was reached on the 8th day.
That was the culmination. And the Zohar, again, links this 8th day to the Sifra of Bina.
Divine understanding or insight.
Exactly. A deeper level of knowing. It connects the hidden higher realms with our world. So the 8th day is also about profound insight, connecting to deeper truths.
This is where we get into something I find, well, really striking, the gematria.
Ah, yes, the numerical values of Hebrew letters.
The text points out this incredible equivalence. Shmini, meaning 8th, its value is 410.
Okay.
But so is Mishkan, the dwelling place, and Lishkoni, that I may dwell, and Kadosh,
How about
holy.
410?
Yeah.
That's quite remarkable. And in this tradition, that's not just seen as, a coincidence.
No, it's seen as divine design revealing something fundamental.
Right. It shows this deep inherent link between the 8th day, the divine dwelling, the act of dwelling, and holiness itself. They're all interconnected.
It really reinforces that core idea, the purpose of creation being for the divine to dwell among us.
Exactly. And the number 8, through gematria, sort of unlocks that understanding. It inherently points to the Creator's presence. Like the Sfat Emet said, it's not something new, but an eternal reality revealed when we get past our own ego.
So we've talked past and present significance, but the sources also look forward to the 8th millennium.
Right. This pushes into eschatology, the end of days, and the nature of time itself.
Based on that verse in Psalms, 1,000 years in your sight are but as yesterday.
Mm-hmm. The Zohar uses that to suggest the 7th millennium will be like a grand cosmic Shabbat. Rest, culmination, maybe the messianic era within time.
Okay, a time of peace, but still...
Time. Still recognizably time, perhaps. But the 8th millennium, that's described as totally different, beyond time as we conceive it.
Pure divine light.
That's the language used. Pure,
Yeah.
undiluted light.
Mm-hmm.
The Sefer Haba here calls it a new light, something not part of the current creation.
And the Book of Hanukkah.
It describes it as no time, a state where the righteous experience God's glory directly, without temporal limits. It's really beyond our current comprehension.
A reality beyond boundaries, which seems to connect nicely to the Chassidic idea about the soul, the 8th level.
It's Shechita.
Can you explain that a bit?
Yeah.
What is Yochida?
So, in Chassidic thought, the soul has layers or levels. Yochida is considered the absolute innermost point, the pure essence.
This spark.
The unique spark, exactly. And it's understood to be always inherently connected to the infinite, to God.
Even now.
Even now.
Yeah.
Though its light might be veiled in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
But the teaching is that in the Messianic era, the time of Mashiach,
Uh-huh.
the full light of Yochida will shine forth from everyone.
Yeah.
Our deepest connection will be revealed.
That's a powerful idea. And Rebbe Nachman connects this to music.
He does. A beautiful image. The temple harp had 7 strings representing the natural order, maybe even its limitations.
Okay.
But the harp of Mashiach, he taught, will have 8 strings.
The 8th string.
And it will sing a new song, a song of pure emunah, pure faith, that transcends all the barriers and limitations of creation. It's the melody of redemption.
Wow. So bringing all these threads together then, creation, covenant, the Mishkan, gematria, the future, the soul's essence. What's the big picture these sources paint about the number 8?
Well, the Gaddi Efrayim notes and Beit Yisrael material, taken together, show 8 isn't just significant in one area. It's this recurring theme, like a golden thread.
Woven throughout.
Exactly. It consistently points beyond the natural, finite world. It signifies the moment the divine dwells among us, the unbreakable covenant, the hidden connections revealed by gematria, and ultimately, that future beyond time.
It's more than just a number following 7.
Much more. It functions as a symbol, a signpost pointing towards the infinite, the holy, the transcendent.
It really feels like, as the text puts it, a gate to redemption. We live in the 7, the cycles.
Right. The day-to-day.
But our aspiration, our spiritual direction is towards that potential of the 8th.
That's a great way to put it. These teachings really invite us to see the profound depth hidden in what seems like just a...
The number 8 in Torah.
Right. It's more than just the number after 7, isn't it?
Way more. Our sources for this, Beit Yisrael International's Voice of Torah and the Gaddi Efrayim notes, they really highlight it as a symbol.
A symbol pointing towards, well, prophecy, holiness, even redemption. Big themes.
Exactly. So let's dive in. What makes 8 so significant?
Well, Torah has these layers of meaning. Peshat, remez, drash, sod.
The different interpretive levels.
Right. And numbers like 8 show up differently on each level. It's like peeling an onion, sort of.
Okay, good analogy. Let's start peeling. Peshat, the simple meaning. Our sources point to the Mishkan, the tabernacle.
Correct. Specifically, the 8th day after the 7 days of setting it up, the inauguration.
What happened on that 8th day?
It was the day the mission became fully functional. And importantly, Aaron offered a calf.
A calf. Why a calf?
Well, Rashi connects this directly to the sin of the golden calf. It's seen as a measure-for-measure rectification, a way to purify that past event.
Ah, okay, a spiritual balancing act right at the start. But there was something else huge that day, wasn't there?
The biggest thing, really. The verse says, "Today Hashem will appear to you." The divine presence revealed itself to everyone.
Wow, that's immense. So the 8th day is established right away as a time for direct divine encounter.
Precisely. That's the foundational Peshat understanding. It sets the stage for deeper meanings.
Okay, so let's move to remez, the hinted meaning. We often hear 7 represents the natural cycle, like the 7 days of creation.
Exactly. 7 is completion within nature, within time as we know it.
So 8 must be, what, beyond that?
8 points to something transcending nature, something eternal, outside the regular cycle, a step beyond.
And our sources mention gematria here, the numerical values of Hebrew words.
They do. And it's pretty remarkable. The word Shemini, which means 8th, has the numerical value of 410.
Okay, 410.
And guess what? Mishkan, the tabernacle, also 410.
No way.
Yes. And Lushkoni, meaning for my dwelling, and Kadosh, meaning holy, all 410.
That's uncanny. It can't be a coincidence.
The takeaway is profound. It shows the Mishkan's core purpose for the holy Shechinah, the divine presence, to dwell within Israel.
So the numbers themselves reinforce the mission.
Right. To break through natural limits, create a space for the eternal within the world.
Incredible. Okay, let's dig even deeper. Drash the interpretive level, rabbinic insights.
Absolutely. The Talmud in Megillah says something amazing. It says the joy at the Mishkan's dedication matched the joy of the world's creation.
Wow. As big as creation itself.
That's the comparison. It suggests the Mishkan wasn't just a building. It was like a spiritual rebirth. Israel becoming partners in making God's presence manifest.
A partnership in creation, almost.
You could say that. And the Midrash takes it further. It links the 7 days of inauguration to the 7 days of creation.
Okay, that makes sense, a parallel.
But then it aligns the 8th day with Olam Haba, the world to come.
The world to come. So the Mishkan on that 8th day was like a portal, a glimpse into eternity.
A foretaste, exactly. A connection to the ultimate future, right there in the desert.
That's a powerful. And what about Brit Milah, circumcision? That happens on the 8th day, too.
Right. Think about the timing. The baby goes through 7 full days, a natural cycle.
Then on the 8th?
Enters the eternal covenant. The Midrash Tanshuma explains it as elevating the soul beyond the purely physical into this divine union.
So again, 8 marks that transition, moving from the natural cycle into something eternal, something divine.
Consistently. It's a pattern.
Okay, let's brace ourselves for Sod. The mystical secrets. Kabbalah. How does 8 figure in here?
Well, Kabbalah talks about the Sephiro, right? These divine emanations or energies.
Yes, the 10 Sephiro.
The Zohar explains that the lower 7 correspond to the structure of our world, how things function, the created reality.
The building blocks, sort of.
You could think of it that way.
Yeah.
But the 8th, that corresponds to Bina, understanding, sometimes called Atik Yomin, the Ancient of Days.
The Ancient of Days, what does that represent?
It represents a much higher level.
Yeah.
The light of the infinite, the Ein Sof, something primordial.
So a direct line to the source beyond the structures of creation itself.
Exactly. And the idea is that the Shechinah, the divine presence that dwells within the world, can only fully descend after the lower world is prepared through those 7 stages. The 8th then opens a new channel.
A higher conduit between the upper and lower realms.
Precisely. Allowing a more direct flow of that infinite light.
And the Arizal, Rabbi Isaac Luria, he connects the 8th day to Mashiach.
Yes, very powerfully. He teaches that the 8th day reveals the light of Mashiach. This is called Or Ein Sof, the infinite light.
Infinite light.
And it's a light that's beyond time itself. It represents the ultimate redemption, where all limitations dissolve and creation is elevated.
That's a staggering concept, all tied to the number 8.
It is the potential for ultimate transformation.
Okay, let's bring in some Hasidic thought. The Baal Shem Tov, the Sfat Emet, how do they see 8?
They connect it to the deepest part of the soul, the Yeshida.
Yechida, the singular point.
The most essential point, the core that's always connected to Hashem, to God. It's intrinsically linked.
Always connected.
Yes. And the idea is the 7 days involve our work, our preparation, our effort in the world.
A human effort.
Right. But the 8th day, that's when Hashem kind of completes the circuit, when that hidden divine light descends and connects from above.
So our 7 days of effort meet the divine descent on the 8th.
Beautifully put. And the Sfat Emet also speaks about the future,
Yeah.
the 8th millennium.
The 8th millennium.
He teaches that will be the ultimate Shabbat, the Shabbat of all time, the era when divinity is completely revealed.
Wow. So transcendence again, but on a cosmic timescale.
Exactly. The ultimate state beyond our current reality.
It's truly amazing how this one number weaves through everything. Now, the Gaddi Efrayim notes bring in Rebecca. How does she connect?
This is a fascinating layer. It draws on the Baal HaTurim. He noticed the phrase ha'ohila, meaning into the tent, appears exactly 8 times in the whole Torah.
8 times specifically, not 7, not 9.
Exactly 8. And he teaches these aren't random. They allude to the 8 places the Shechinah, the divine presence, dwelled historically.
8 dwelling places. Can you list them?
Sure. The Mishkan in the desert, then Gilgal, Shiloh, Nov, Givon.
Okay, the pre-temple sites.
Right. Then the first Beit HaMikdash, the first temple in Jerusalem, the second Beit HaMikdash, and finally the future, eternal third Beit HaMikdash.
So 8 tents, 8 dwellings, culminating in the ultimate one.
Precisely. A journey of the divine presence.
And Rivka entering Sarah's tent. Where does that fit?
Well, the Midrash tells us Sarah's tent had this visible sign of the Shechinah, a cloud of glory.
A visible cloud, okay.
When Sarah died, it disappeared. But when Isaac brought Rivka into that same tent, the cloud returned.
It came back, meaning Rivka.
Was carrying that same spiritual potential, that same connection. The Zohar says the tent represents Melchit, the receptive vessel for the divine.
So Rivka entering the tent reestablished it as a place for the Shechinah.
Yes. Her tent became a microcosm of the Mishkan, a precursor to the temple, a symbol of that eternal dwelling place.
Her home became a mini sanctuary?
In essence, yes. And, the Talmud talks about the Mishkan moving around before settling in Jerusalem.
Right, it's temporary locations.
But Rambam, Maimonides, stresses the eternal nature of the Temple Mount's location in Jerusalem, the ultimate place.
And that connects back to Sarah and Rivka.
He connects it right back to where Sarah's tent stood, that specific spot.
So the temple's holiness is rooted way back then.
Exactly. And Rav Tzadok HaKohen adds that Sarah and Rivka's tent is like the spiritual blueprint for the temple itself, designed to draw down divine light.
Wow. It's all one continuous thread.
A thread woven with the number 8, signifying that meeting point.
It really is remarkable. 8 isn't just a number. As Beit Yisrael International and the Gaddi Efrayim notes show, it's a reality.
A reality where heaven and earth meet. The 7 days of preparing the Mishkan. It's the 7 days of our lives.
Our preparation.
Our striving, or working within the 7 days of this world, always reaching for that 8th day when Hashem appears.
That progression, Mishkan, home, temple, it feels very personal. Like each soul can become that dwelling place.
That's the potential.
Yeah.
Every soul, a sanctuary. And that idea that the tent of Rivka is being rebuilt now in the hearts of Israel.
In this generation.
Yes. It speaks to the possibility within each of us right now to be that vessel for divine light.
That's an incredibly hopeful thought to end on. Aiming for that 8th day, that full revelation of the Shechinah and the eternal temple, and seeing that glory shine. Thank you. This has been truly enlightening.
My pleasure. It's a deep and rewarding topic.